I'll say a few words in Hebrew and then in English, and then most of the webinar will be in English. אז שלום לכולם, ברוכים הבאים לעוד וובינר של אתר המעגל, והפעם אנחנו נצלול לעולם הדאטה סייאנס. זה חלק מהוובינרים שאנחנו עושים בתחומים המקצועיים בקנדה, כדי לעזור לישראלים חדשים וגם למקומיים להכיר יותר את התחומים השונים שאפשר לעבוד בהם בהייטק. ויש איתנו כאן מומחים לתחום, שתכף אני אציג אותם. מי שרוצה להדליק מצלמה מוזמן, זה תמיד עושה הרגשה טובה ככה לראות את הפרצופים. המנחים שלנו ייתנו לנו זמן לשאלות, אפשר לכתוב שאלות בצ'אט, השאלות נשמרות, ותמיד אפשר ליצור אותנו קשר בכל הערוצים, בפייסבוק, בוואטסאפ, בטלפון, בכל הדרכים. אז למי שיש שאלות, מוזמנים לכתוב בצ'אט. וכן, הוובינר מוקלט והוא יעלה לאתר המעגל, אנחנו נשלח לכל מי שנרשם את ההקלטה מיד אחרי. So hello everyone, really great to have you here today for our webinar about data science and the job market and career paths. It's a part of our series about webinars in different professional areas in tech in order to help Israeli newcomers, but also the Jewish community here in Canada to flourish in the job market. It's a part of our employment portal activities, and we're really happy to have our great speakers here today. So we will have time for Q&A towards the end, and always you're welcome to write in the chat all of your questions. It is saved, and just in case we don't get to your question, there's always ways to get in touch with us, so don't worry about that. We are recording the session. It will be uploaded to Hamagal website as well as be sent in an email to all of you right after with additional goodies that we will be sending. Yeah, everyone, if you'd like to start your cameras, that will be lovely so our speakers can see some affirmative nods here and there or questioning faces just in case you don't understand something, so we kind of have that communication. We always have really great atmosphere here, and that's what we would like to keep. All right, so let me introduce our speakers and we'll get to the interesting stuff. So we have Yonatan Barak here with us. He's a BI manager with over 10 years of experience in finance. He specializes in data storytelling and uses a plethora of programs like SQL, Python, Power BI, and he holds also an MBA in statistics. We have Dr. Menachem Forer with us. He's a co-founder of Adeleg IT and the Community Tech, and he's a professor at the University of Waterloo, and has trained over 2,000 individuals in tech, which is a lot. And he is focusing on placement and corporate partnerships. Ron Schuster, he's a cybersecurity expert and also a co-founder of Adeleg IT and the Community Tech. They're both charity organizations, and he advises in cybersecurity and is active on industry boards and promotes tech education in the Jewish and Israeli community in Canada. So it's a huge honor to have you here, and Yonatan, take it away.
Hi, everybody.
Sorry, Menachem.
Yes,
Menachem.
It's okay.
Exactly.
Menachem.
It's
My
okay.
bad,
I like
folks.
it. I like that little comment.
So just a brief introduction.
Sure.
Brief introduction to the Community Tech. So my name is Ron Schuster. I coming from the world of cybersecurity. Menachem and I co-founded an organization called the Community Tech so many years ago. And really the goal is to help the Jewish community with skills, tech skills, and ultimately translate those skills into a paying job. We've been running courses for the past 8 or 9 years in various disciplines within the spectrum of technology, data science, cybersecurity. We have various courses within cloud, full stack web development, and working with some of the big tech giants in Google, Amazon, and such. We helped hundreds of people with job placements, both in Canada, in the US, and South America. We have inherited curriculums from the Googles of the world and such in about 19 languages. So we've been quite out there helping various Jewish communities to gain skills and give them the proper guidance and hand-holding experience, partnership to ultimately get them a good paying job within the industry. Amongst obviously courses, we've built various fairly strong relationships within the corporate world. And really the goal today and the focus today is to specifically talk about cybersecurity, the industry, the market, the demand within the industry, jobs, and then what we can do to help individuals to tap into this wonderful world of data science. So with that, I would like to give Menachem to open the door to this session.
Thank you, Ron. All right, so
Menachem, can you swap your displays? We see the note section. If you can just hit swap displays at the top, we'll see the full screen.
yeah, there you go. Sorry about that.
Perfect.
Awesome. No worries. It always happens.
Yes,
The
no
most
worries.
sad word after COVID, and you're on mute, is we can see the notes. So
I'm not on mute, right? I'm not muted.
no.
That's good. Oh gosh, it's funny. Okay, so nice to meet everybody today. I'll talk about myself in a second, but today's just to talk about the presentation in general. I'm going to start the conversation today, and then I'm going to hand off to Yonatan Barak, who works for us and works with us in our programs. And then after that, we'll have a Q&A session in which we'll all answer your questions. So today's session, I'm going to be starting off talking about the data science and its growing relevance in the job market today in general, and also here in Toronto in particular. So I'll talk a little bit about myself. So I am my name is Dr. Menachem Feuer. I have a PhD and I teach at University of Waterloo. I've been teaching there for several years. And I decided after Ron Schuster 8 years ago came to me and said to me, let's work together and build a program teaching people tech in Toronto and the Jewish community in Canada and help them get jobs. And I was like, that's a great idea. And I came on board with Ron 8 years ago, and we've been doing this ever since. So over the last 8 years, Ron and I started a place before we had community tech as a charity. We had something called Adaleg IT. And Adaleg IT means, I will leap from Hebrew, Adaleg, I will leap into the tech industry. And that's the whole idea, is working with us in our boot camps will help you to leap into the tech industry. And we've run courses in the United States, Canada, and Brazil. And we've been reaching hundreds of people who we've worked a lot with them and helped to place them. We've placed over 68% of people who've taken our programs. And in 2020, I created a program during COVID for kids coding, and we taught over 2,000 kids how to code in schools, and we're still doing that today. And I've also overseen different co-ops and partnerships with different corporations, which I'll talk a little bit about later here in Canada. So Ron Schuster, who I'm working with, just introduced himself. He's a seasoned professional IT, networking, cloud, and cybersecurity, works with large enterprise corporations and organizations, and delivers high quality infrastructural services, and strong in-depth knowledge of network operations, design, architecture, and troubleshooting. And also he works with major companies in cybersecurity and networking as we speak. So we'll be coming back and talking soon. Okay, so let's talk about, we live in a world which is immersed in data through our phones, our cell phones, our computers. More and more, if you notice, more and more day after day, we spend more and more time on our phones. There's so much data coming through, and our phones know so much about us and who we are. They have a lot of data on us about all of our behavior. And what data does is data gives a lot of companies and organizations and governments an idea of like who we are and how we behave. And they utilize that understanding in order to sell us products, to help us to optimize our services and whatnot. So the idea in data science involves analyzing large sets of structured and unstructured data to discover insights, solve problems, and drive decision-making. And this includes such key technologies which we teach, which are machine learning, statistical analysis, and data visualization. So just give you a sense of the relevance in our daily life. We all use Google, Facebook, Airbnb, Uber, Netflix, and Amazon, at one point or other, during the week, actually. It's a weekly kind of usage. For some people, a daily usage. Google uses data to optimize search results and power AI-driven services. Facebook leverages user data to deliver personalized ads and content to people. Airbnb analyzes market trends to offer dynamic pricing for different hosts. And Uber, which we utilizes geospatial data to match riders with riders and drivers efficiently. And like also think about Tesla. Like a car like the Tesla Corporation is using tons and tons of data in order just to have a person drive from point A to point B. So much data, and all of that is made possible by cloud computing. It's called big data. And also Netflix, which a lot of us use as well, employs data-driven algorithms, recommends shows based on viewer preferences. Everything is totally personalized. Like I'm sure, like if you have Netflix, like I have children and my kids have a different Netflix than I do because Netflix, the data, the machine learning that's being used on that platform, the data utilization, personalizes it for the types of behavior that they have and the types of shows that they have. And that search optimization engine, whether it's on Netflix or Spotify, I also use Spotify, gives you a sense of the type of music you want and what the types of things that you like, and it gives it back to you, and even more, and gives you things you've never heard of. Same thing with Amazon, which uses customer purchase data for personalized recommendations and inventory management. So what's the impact of big data on industry? So first of all, here's some statistics. So 90% of the world's data was generated, get this, in the last 2 years. 90% of the world's data, because there's been such an explosion of data with our devices, with our applications, that 90% of the world's data has been generated over the last 2 years. The other thing is 53% of companies are adopting big data analytics. More than half the companies out today, but the other half has yet to adopt, to just give you a sense of the market out there and the need for it. But more than half have adopted it. And the other important thing is keep in mind is the big data market is projected to grow $103 billion by 2027, 3 years from now. It's just growing and growing in terms of revenue. So how do companies utilize and leverage big data? So Google analyzes billions of search queries by product trends. Like for instance, today, one of the biggest ad platforms is Google Ads. Google Ads is the biggest marketing platform for ads in the world today, for good reason, because they're constantly looking into queries and they're getting all the information from what people are looking for and what they're interested in to be able to market products and services really well. Netflix this year, just in terms of data, we're going to be talking more about this. Data is all about, there's the bottom line. Number one, it could help you to scale your company and to grow your company. And on the other hand, it can also help you to save costs, to figure out where waste is happening. So like Netflix, for instance, saved $1 billion per year by using algorithms for personalized recommendations. So they're saving money, not just making money. And Amazon increased its sales by 35% through product recommendations powered by data. And everybody knows whenever you go on Amazon, you see all these recommendations and everything, and that helps to drive more sales based on things that you're interested that it knows about. Okay. So in terms of job growth, so the demand for data scientists is projected to grow by 36% in 2031, 36%. So data industry is growing exponentially. Data analysts are one of the top emerging roles across industries, according to LinkedIn jobs report. So there's data science, there's data visualization, data analysis, and data science. These are all 3 different branches and 3 different things. And data science and analytics we'll learn as Yonatan will be talking about, works with in terms of coding languages, like with Python, with R. Those are the 2 primary languages used in machine learning. And SQL is in terms of databases and relational databases are used a lot in terms of data. And data visualization, major tools today are Tableau and Power BI. And Tableau was bought by Salesforce, actually. And Power BI is Microsoft Power BI, which is the most powerful data visualization, data analytics tool in the world today. We run programs in data visualization using Power BI in New York, in the United States, and here in Toronto as well. And also in big data, you have Hadoop, Spark, and cloud computing. Like I've talked about before, like we're an AWS shop. We teach Amazon Web Services, which is a very big shop. And of course, Google and Microsoft are also humongous, depending on the industry. Like for fintech, like financial technology, Google is very big in that industry. AWS all across the board in enterprise corporations. And Azure is humongous. Azure is Microsoft's cloud computing. But all machine learning, all data-driven projects, all start off with cloud computing, and they use that powerful, the amount of data that you could use. The fact that you can have you have a terabyte, and like you can have a drive or terabytes. I mean, it's incredible. It's more than just like a hard drive or a data center now. There are multiple data centers and there's so much data. It's a humongous pool of information and data that are used today to get great insights. So there's some companies that are hiring in terms of data. You have Google, Facebook, Amazon, Uber, Netflix, the big companies, obviously. And then you have, like here in Toronto, you have banks like RBC, CIBC, and TD, and Deloitte, and OpenText. These are all companies here in Toronto. They're all hiring, and they consistently hire for data visualization, data analytics, and data science. It's a hot thing. It's a hot job. So I just want to give you a quick example after this. I'm going to come out of the stream in a second. If you go to indeedjobs.com, right, and just do a search, you will find thousands of jobs in Toronto alone if you search for the terms data visualization, data analytics, Power BI, and data science, right? These search. And I'm going to show you right now. 1 second here. All right. 1 second here. I'm going to get out of here for a second. Okay. All right. So here is a search. I did this earlier. So I looked in Thornhill, where I live, and this is like the northern part of Toronto, and it's within a 50-mile radius. Sorry, 50-kilometer. Sorry. I'm an American, so originally, I mean, I've lived in America most of my life, so I get used to kilometers here. So if you do within a 50-kilometer basis, and you look at how many jobs right there, 1,000 plus jobs just in Toronto in this, and you could see data architect, senior manager, principal data integration architect, senior manager, genomics project lead, data scientist, 1-year contract, specialist, and data architect. So you can see some of the things inside the app. Instead of the job descriptions, all the things that I have here: data analytics, data integrity, data improvement. So you could see like even social content about dealing with data, the ability to analyze data, translate insights, even for a content creator, that's an important thing. Trading analyst, lead data discovery and enrichment, consultant, data scientist, etc. You could see all these jobs. And I would say go look for yourself. You'll see so many different types of jobs here in Toronto that deal with data. And Toronto is a big, for people who are coming from Israel here, something really important to know is that and Toronto is a major tech hub in not just in North America, but in the world. There's a lot of tech that comes through the city. There's a lot of companies. They call it, it's like a testing ground for major companies. They start here and then they move outwards to like the United States into larger markets. But this is like a good place for a lot of startup companies, and a lot of very strong companies like have their base here. Like Microsoft has a base here, AWS has a base here, Facebook. They all have a footprint in the city, and they have a lot of really good engineers, a lot of good talent that they look for in the city. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, and if anybody wants to look for me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can look for me at Menachem Foyer. Just look up Menachem Foyer. You'll find me on LinkedIn, and you can see about the kind of stuff that I do. And we'll come back later. We'll talk more about the stuff that we do. But I'm going to go pass the ball on to Jonathan right now, and Jonathan works with us in delivering our data science program.
Thank you, Menachem.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to share my screen. Marina, do you see my screen?
Yeah, you can see it, Jonathan.
It looks great.
It looks good, Jonathan. You're good.
Great. So thank you, Menachem. Thank you, Ron. So today I'm going to present you the data science journey or process through different projects. But first, let's talk about what is data science. So basically, data science is a journey of discovery, insight, and decision-making. During the process, it involves inspecting, cleaning, transforming the data, and modeling. And the main goal is to discover the useful information, inform conclusions, and support decision-making. So Menachem talked about it, but I will talk about Google also. I will take a real life example. So Google uses a ranking model. It comes from the ML machine learning models, and it's designed to sort through billions of web pages and digital content to present the most relevant and useful results on the first page. So what will happen if Google will not have this model? If Google will not have this model, irrelevant search results will lead to 5% drop in the user engagement, and it costs Google about 11 billion annually. Also, if we look about the customer impact, Google lose millions of daily active users, damaging its market dominance. Another example is Netflix. If we look about the recommendation model that they work, it's working by using the data about what I and other watch to suggest shows or moving we might like. And what will happen without this model? Poor recommendation could lead to 10% churn rate, costing Netflix around 24 million subscribers that we live, or around 3.6 billion in annual revenue. So I hope these two examples showed you the importance of data science and the data science role. Before we are going to dive into the data science process, I want to talk about some of the popular programming language that data scientists use on a regular basis. So the first and most popular is the Python. Python is widely used in data science, machine learning, and data manipulations. It's known for its simplicity, readability, and flexibility, and it has extensive libraries like Pandas and NumPy. When we are talking about Python libraries, it's like a collection of code that's made for us. So if we want, for example, to build a linear regression model, it's just write one line of code. We don't need to write all the code. So it's very, very simple. The second popular language that data scientists using is the SQL. So SQL is the standard language for managing relational database. It's very essential for data manipulation, especially also for ETL. And usually we use it when we want to develop data warehouse, data lakes, and data marts. I will talk about it later. And we have Power BI. Power BI, it's not a language. It's a popular BI self-service tool. With the Power BI, we build a reporting system and dashboards. Power BI has several models. The first is the data preparation. After that, it's the modeling. And at the end, it's the reporting viewer, where we build the dashboard and the reports. Everything is with the drag and drop interface. We don't need to use code or long codes or learn code. So it's basically very simple. And it has powerful capabilities for creating interactive dashboard and visualization. Okay. So after I talked about the common tools and the common programming languages, now it's time to talk about the process of the data science projects. So during the process, we have several staging areas, and it's like a cycle process. Each stage has its own thing, and we can move forward or backward if we need accordingly. If we are talking about the first stage is the discovery, after data preparation, after the model planning, after the model building. After the model is building, we can do the visualization part and monitor and maintenance. In the next slides, I'm going to walk through each step in detail. So let's start. We will start at the first stage. It's the discovery. So this is the most important part in the process. If we are talking about the whole project, it's about 60% of the whole project. So this is the most important part. And the first thing we need to understand is to understand the problem. We need to understand what are the objectives of the project, what are the goals, what is the ROI. After that, we need to meet with the stakeholders and to check what is their interest in the project. In big companies or in a big projects, there are different stakeholders from different departments. We need to sit with each of them and to learn what are their goals. We also need to know what is the current situation. If they have a reporting system, if they did modeling, and if they did, what are the pain points and what are the pain points that motivate the project. Also, we need to know what needs to be done to achieve the objectives and what are the risks for the project. So if we are talking, if we know the goals of the project, then we need to take the project and to break it into smaller milestones. For each milestones, highlight the risk and give appropriate time for each task. So this is very, very important things to do. Second thing that we need to do, we are still in the discovery stage, but the second thing is to begin learning the data. After we meet with the stakeholders, we took their KPIs and the key metrics, and now we can learn how to sit with the operational systems, learn how we can get the data, from which tables, which are the columns, and like determining the requirements for the data structure, choose the right tool to do the programming, to do the processing, and creating ERD diagram and source to docket documents to understand the table relationship and each columns, the data types, and what we're going to do with it. After we build that, we can start some initial summary statistics or visualization to start to learn the data. The next stage is the data preparation. This stage is about 20 to 25% of the whole project. So basically, the first two stages are about 85 to 90% of all the project. It's important to notice that. So data preparation, the first need to do is to do the cleansing and the data quality processing. We need to ensure that the data is accurate, consistent, and ready for analysis. Usually in a big project, we need to take data that comes from multiple sources. Almost in each project that I did, the data was inconsistent. So we need to work hard on it to get ready for analysis, providing a solid foundation and generating business insight. Some example of data quality and data cleansing validations. We need to check about missing values and how to deal with missing values. We can, for example, give default values or using statistical imputation or just remove it from the model. We need to also remove duplicate values. Also do field type validations. We need to check each variables and convert it if needed. And we need to conduct descriptive statistics analysis to check the outliers and extreme values. When we are getting the extreme and the outliers values, we need to meet with the stakeholders and to understand what to do with that. And we need to do standardization of field names and value names. So there are a lot of more validations that we need to do, but I just give here the common ones. Just you have the idea. The other part of the data preparation is the ETL. So after the data is reliable, we can start to create the data warehouse, and we need to use some of the ETL tools that I mentioned before or other. Basically, we need to create the tables, define the primary and the foreign key, establishing the necessary relations between the tables. After that, we need to ingesting the clean data into the structured tables, ensuring that all the constraints that we made, like the primary and the foreign keys, are respected. And after that, we can start building the model. I'm not talking about the statistic model. I'm talking about the data warehouse model. For that, we need to create star schema or snowflakes to organize the data efficiently and create calculated fields to support the advanced analytics that we do later. So after that, we finish about 90% of the whole project. And now the fun parts begin. We need to plan the statistic model. So model planning may cover if we have, for example, unstructured data, we need to consider and to think which text modeling we need to use and how to combine the text modeling with the structured data. And we also need to choose the right model. There are a lot of models like linear regression, logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, and more. We need to decide based on the data that we have, which model is most appropriate. For example, if we're talking about linear regression, the target column has to be continuous variable. And for logistic regression, it's binary classification. So we need to know which model to choose, and we need to split the data into different data sets. Some of the data needs to go to training, some of the data to the validation, and some of the data to the test. And after that, we building the model. We need to take into account when we build ML models, we have two categories, and it's very important to notice it before we starting to build the model. We have the supervised model. The supervised model talking about models that we know the target value, the target column, sorry, and based on that, we can predict the outcome. So we go basically to the history, learn from the history, and predict it. Unsupervised model, we don't have target column, and we just, so we can't predict it based on the history. We need to focus on analyze the connections and the relations between the data elements. So basically we do clustering, we're trying to find unsupervised learning algorithm like k-means and other. And after that, so we have basically the model, the data is clean, we have the data warehouse, and now we can do the visualization, create the BI reporting system with the dashboards. And the key questions that we need to consider at this stage, the first one is who are the end users of the dashboard? Each end user has his different story to tell. So we need, when we create the dashboards and the reporting system, to meet with the stakeholders to understand which is the analyst, which is the manager, which is the executive, and to build for each of the group separate visualization. It's very important to do it. If we are talking about the analyst, he likes to see details. He likes to understand exactly what's happening at a granular level. So basically, the visualization that we need to make for him is list table, pivot tables, give him the option to do drill down and support the root cause analysis. If we're talking about the manager wants to summarize the data, to see it summarized and to see the actionable insight to help operate the business. So for him, we will try to do line charts, bar chart visualization, and other graphs. He needs to see detailed information, but only if it supports a specific insight. So for him, maybe we need to make conditional formats. And the executive needs only high-level, crystal clear KPIs to track the business health and top line the performance. So for him, we will just make KPI cards or simple cards. We need minimal details. So again, how we visualize and present the data is a function of who will consume it. It's very important to remember that. Another thing that is very important and is what is the data? What is the type of the data? The type of the data needs to be the type of the data that we are working determines which type of visualization is the best to present. For example, if we have time series data, the most appropriate way to present it is the line chart. And if we are using, if we have hierarchy data, then the tree map. If we have geodata, then it's geomap. So we need to know what is the data, what type of the data we are working to know which visualization is most appropriate to present. Oh, sorry. And the third question that we need to ask is, how can I present information as clearly as possible? This is also very, very important. I have a lot of experience in building and designing BI reporting system, and the rule that I keep to myself is to keep it simple. When we are talking about BI tools like Power BI, Tableau, and others, there are hundreds of charts that we can choose from. And I always choose the basic one, the simple one. It is very important to keep it simple, to make use of consistent colors, labels, and formatting, and make the report initiative and integration. Sorry. Oh, just a second. I made a mistake. Sorry. Okay. So the last stage is the monitoring and maintenance. So basically, after we have everything, we can deploy the models into the production system. We can set up automatic data pipelines with the ETL. We need to check on a regular time if the model performance drops or not. If it drops, we need to change it and retrain the model again. We need to check that the data feeding into the model remains relevant and up to date. And regarding the model scalability, we need to ensure that the system can handle increase of data as the project grows. And the version control, we need to maintain version control of the data, also for the code and the model, for future reference and regulations reasons. So that's it. Thank you for the time, for taking the time to listen to my presentation. And if you have any questions, I will love to answer.
So we want to spend a few minutes as Q&A. If anybody has any questions about the industry, the material, again, this ultimately will translate into a course. Our goal is to help the community to gain skills and ultimately get a job. So if anybody has any questions about any of the above, feel free to unmute and ask away.
Or you can put questions in the chat if you'd like, whatever you'd like to do.
Sure, I've got a question. Can you hear
Does
me?
the course cover
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, Yoni.
Hi.
Hi, can you describe for us maybe, the typical career path or kind of, so we're talking a lot about a lot of skills to become, a data architect. So is it typically a developer, a programmer who kind of works their way in and kind of gets into the type of work that you're doing?
So I think the skill sets, if we are talking about data science role, is a different skill set for data engineering, if we take an example. Because to be a data science, you need to learn how to program and how to build data models. So you need to know the statistics background and the programming background.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also here very important, and I think it's also very interesting because you need to communicate with different stakeholders, different positions, different departments, and all the discovery part and all the data preparation parts demands a lot of documentations and to sit with the stakeholders to understand the business. And I think this is one of the exciting things to do when you are data science in the data science role.
Right. So you're talking about the soft skills, right? That
Yeah,
are required not just for the elicitation of requirements and kind of in the building and the communication, and then kind of all the dashboards and everything. Okay,
exactly.
great.
Like a
Thanks.
lot of data scientists refer, or data people work at data visualization refer to it as storytelling. I really liked how Jonathan brought that up with the end user. You know, who are the end users? And every one of them gets a different story. Everyone's going to get a different. And data, like data science and data visualization, data analytics are really about the end of the day after you've done all the research, and it's about presenting those insights in a way that the end user can understand. So it requires a lot of good communication skills, and of course, skills in understanding data and how to clean it and how to use it and how to work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If there are no more questions, I mean, just
I actually, there was a
go ahead,
question
Mark.
that a few folks discussed with me, like in anticipation of the webinar, was that we have a lot of folks here that are new from Israel that arrived with the special measures visa. And they're facing the kind of Canadian experience barrier. So I know it's a little bit easier in tech, right? Because the programs are the same, but still there's the cultural aspect. So if any of you can speak to that a little bit and give some advice to our listeners who are in that position.
I'm also quite new here. I'm 4 months here in Canada, so I think Menachem or Ron, it's preferred that you will answer that.
Sure. So the Canadian landscape is it's a friendly landscape. You know, the Canadians are usually known to be very friendly people, very polite people. And and a lot of companies are very interested into when you're coming here with skills that to basically to help them out. There's a lot of openness and a lot of companies are open. There's a lot of the way they take people in, the intake. So you're coming in from Israel to Canada. The Canadian culture is a lot different. It's not the same as Israeli culture, but I think it's kind of like American culture in a lot of ways. If anyone's been to America before, it's similar in a lot of ways, as it's a North American country. But I think there's a lot of immigration that comes in this country. A lot of people come, a lot of immigrants, and this is a country of immigrants, even more so than the United States, I think, at this point right now. And so I think they're very welcoming to a lot of people coming from Israel. A lot of companies are interested in Israeli and people coming from Israel with their tech skills and whatnot. Plus, the Israeli culture, I think, brings a lot here with in terms of organization, being the IDF and being a part of that kind of culture, I think is very valuable for people in companies here at the city.
Right. I think to just address one more point, Marina, I think one of the biggest challenge in Canada is most Canadian companies are looking for Canadian experience. So there are many immigrants that come from abroad, overseas, who are well skilled, well educated, and well experienced. But in Canada, and again, I've been in Canada. I'm also originally from Israel. I was born in Israel, grew up in Israel, I've been here for many years. And many Canadian companies are expecting Canadian experience. And we helped a lot of people, newcomers to Canada, those who have no background, no skills. We actually took them through the journey of acquiring skills and getting an official Canadian college diploma and vendor certification, whether it's Microsoft or whatever it is. But even more so, I think the secret sauce, in addition to skills and education, is the ability to translate an education into a job, which is why we invest a tremendous amount of effort, not just with curriculums and training and extra, hand-holding and remedial and whatnot, but we invest an enormous amount of time in corporate relationships. So we work with various large companies and smaller companies, and we have conduits into the job market. Again, there's obviously not 100%, but we are able to help a lot of newcomers that do not have any Canadian experience to get them to get their foot in the door and be able to get employed. So that is really one challenge of of good talent coming to Canada. But again, we've been quite successful in being able to translate this experience, or I guess new immigration experience, and being able to get people with jobs. So, and that's through an existing corporate relationship that we've built over the years. It's a very good question. It is a challenge. It's not easy. I acknowledge it. I know we help many people, especially with culture, coming from Israel and living in Canada, two different worlds, different culture, different mentality. But we work quite a bit with many people, especially from Israel, coming from Israel, to adjust and to acclimate and to help to get them a foot in the door to the Canadian job market.
Yeah, if I can, I could interject here. I could actually share some slides about that because I see people are asking in the chat about classes and stuff like this. So they were asking Jonathan about that. So I could share that right now. Hold on a second here. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And also all of this info about the classes will be sent to you in an email along with the recording. So if you miss anything about that, it will be sent to you. But of course, and there was another interesting question. Just one second while you share that. Laura asked if we don't have any knowledge in tech, but they have a knowledge in statistics. Is that a fit for the class, I guess? Is that the question? Or maybe, Laura, if you want to elaborate on your question. So what do you say, Menachem, about that? Someone who has statistics knowledge?
Yep, that's a great question. In fact, it's interesting because I've heard one question dealing with someone who has software development experience and now that question. And I think both of them are very good. I think definitely statistics is a really big key to data science. I think it's very good if a person comes in, like I talked to someone recently who has an MBA and worked in statistics, and I think it's very important. It's essential to data science to have and some kind of experience in statistics. In our programs, we actually work with people who don't have knowledge in statistics, and we have to teach them statistics during the course. So if a person already has that, it's like a leg up, especially working with data, because you have to have some comprehension of statistics to do well and to be able to work with data and to tell stories about data, which are stories about statistics, basically, at the end of the day. What do we know about our data? What are our stats? What kind of insights can we have about them?
Yeah, thank you.
But
another question. Oh,
can I complete my question? So
please, sure.
If I don't know Python on all that stuff, are you gonna teach us? How does it work?
So yeah, it's a good question. All the courses we're running, the assumption is that our students have no background. So we're starting from ground up. So there's no expectation or any prerequisites with respect to any prior technical knowledge. We're starting from ground up. As the class progresses, obviously the pace is progressing as well, because obviously we want to cover grounds. But if you don't have any technical background in programming or whatnot, this is not an issue. We are starting from ground up.
Okay, thank you.
Can you see my screen there? I mean, so you can see, like, this is a breakdown of what it looks like. See, on the left side of the column, that's the first 4 months, and on the right side is the second 4 months. So you could see, like, this is the kind of progression we're going to be working with. In the first part, it's going to be focusing a lot on data visualization and with statistics and with data. and how to work with data and how to visualize data and how to storytell with data. And also you notice in the bottom, we do Power BI is going to be our focus, and the Power BI certification training is a part of that first 4 months. And the second 4 months is focusing more on Python and more of the coding and stuff. If you don't have experience with it, then we're assuming that people don't, a lot of people, and we take them through that, and we'll take them through basic machine learning, and we'll have projects for the first part and for the second part. But the cool thing about our classes that we run is that they're small, and we have a teacher and a TA. And Yonatan is actually the TA for the course. So we have our main teacher. So you could have 8 people, and you could have a teacher and a TA. So meaning that, it's like the ratio is incredibly, it's like it's a 8 to 2, so every student gets a lot of attention. So we definitely will be working with people who have very little experience, and we could work with them. And we have like a test that we run, a diagnostic test once we get things up and running. Once we have everything together, we run a diagnostic test to see where people are at and what type of who needs what kind of develop, what type of skills, who needs more, who has certain skills, who doesn't have skills, and what kind of skills need to be remedied. Yeah, so I'll talk just briefly about also who we are, what we do. The Community Tech, we're a charity, and we're running courses through the charities, meaning that our courses are subsidized to some extent. There are scholarships in our courses. And one of the things is our purpose is to facilitate training in tech education inside the Jewish community. And we're based here in Toronto. So that's what we do here. We've been doing it for several years as a delegate, and we brought that to a charity over the last year. So we're bringing all of our skills to this charity. And this will enable our community to flourish. If more people have jobs in the Jewish community, that means there's more money, and there's more charity, and there's more giving and more circulation. And everybody does that. We lift all the boats up when our students do well. And the other thing is that we're very interested in is the fact that in Toronto, unlike, let's say, New York City, Toronto is a large Jewish population, and so does New York. Toronto, New York I like talking about those two, because in New York City you have Jewish schools, you have Yeshiva University, you have Touro College. Toronto doesn't have any education for adults, and that's what we're here to do. Is we're here to provide education for the Jewish community at a high level, and our ultimate goal is to open up the first Jewish technical college in Canada. It doesn't exist. So what we're doing is we're running our programs, and also due to anti-Semitism, I think a lot of people from Israel are going to come experience a whole other world over here with the anti-Semitism. It's good to have a space in which Jews are, because if you go to college and universities, I teach at University of Waterloo, there's a lot of problems on campus. I've had Jewish students come to me and talk to me about how uncomfortable they are. And I even hear it in faculty meetings with the union. And just recently I had, anti-Semitic comments. People don't mind saying them. So who wants to be in a space like that? So that's what we want. Is just like in Yeshiva University, it's good to have a space for the Jewish community so they don't have to deal with anti-Semitism and hatred of Jews. So these are some companies that we work with. For instance, we just had a recent series. We had Questrade, CompuGen, and Mayfield, which is a Cypher company, a cybersecurity company. So we work with these types of companies, and we're actually hosting our program in CompuGen space. CompuGen is one of the top MSPs, main service providers in Canada. They have like a revenue $800 million a year. They have 1,800 employees, and we will be teaching our course out of their headquarters in Richmond Hill, which is in the northern part of Toronto near the Major Mackenzie. It's up all the way up there. So we run our course in their training space. And we've been working with them for quite a while. They're great. The CEO is a major advocate of Jewish tech education. And we've run programs there before, and we'll be running it again. It's interesting because before COVID, we used that space a lot primarily, and then COVID brought us online and remote. So now we're going back into that space. This will be like a first iteration in that space again. So this just gives you a sense of what the program is about and types of things that we do. And Yonatan will be the TA. He's an incredibly learned person. He's been working 10 years in the industry. As he said, he works in Israel and is here too. So he'll be the TA in that class. And our teacher has designed programs and runs programs in different colleges. And he designed data science programs in different colleges here in Toronto. And he's a great teacher, and he works in the industry as well. One of the things about what we do in our teaching is that we make sure that our teachers are not just educators, but they're also in the industry. So they're also mentors. So if people don't know what's going on in the industry, they could give them a sense of what it's like and what's required and what's needed. It's not just not just in education, but it's also a sense of what's out there in terms of the business and work.
And one point worth mentioning, we are running the class in one of the companies here in Toronto. However, if you don't live in Toronto, if you live in other parts of Canada, the courses we're running are in a hybrid mode, so they will be available on premise in a physical classroom,
Yeah.
but they're also going to be available live over
Yeah.
Zoom. So we have many students who are outside of Toronto,
Yeah.
different cities in Canada, even in the US, and they're joining over Zoom. It's as interactive as being in a class. The classes are also being recorded. If you cannot make it for whatever reason one day, you can always catch up. We put a lot of emphasis on collaboration, classwork, project work. There's a lot of shadowing, a lot of work with companies within the corporate world, really to gain a real industry experience. So there's a lot of emphasis, again, not just theory, but ultimately to translate this academic experience into a job.
And I just want to note too, just some basic stuff here, is that we run a very rigorous program in the sense we do 9 hours a week, meaning and we do it after hours. So if you work during the day, if you do things during the day, the hours are from 7 to 10 on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evening, and on Sunday we it could be we might do it all remote on Sunday. We're debating. It's all depending on the students what they want. We could do it remote, or we could do that on site as well. But all of the classes are on Zoom. It's a hybrid. It's meaning that it's online and it's on site. So as Ron had mentioned, if people in other countries we have in our classes can participate in the classes, even though they're not in Toronto. And this is just what we're going to be doing. Basically Yonatan will be every Sunday. Yonatan will be leading a lab, taking all the work that they've done during the week, the lectures and the little practice they've done with learning new concepts and integrating them on Sunday in the lab every Sunday. Okay, and this is, if anyone wants to learn about our programs and stuff, it's on thecommunitytech.com, and you click on programs and go under data science, and you could see our program in data science that we have there. And we're looking to start the program in early November, and I know we're already October 14th. But there is time. We're still accepting applications right now, actually. And I just want to note one other thing here. So so you could see it. Here you go. This is what it looks like. So when you get to the website, sorry about that. Under programs, the data science program. It's all broken down for you over here and what we're doing, and etc. And you can apply online. And you can, and if you see, I also see, I'm going to stop sharing right now because I see some questions here. Ron, do you see the questions in the chat, or okay.
There was one that was sent to me privately. I think it was meant for everyone, but I can read that one also.
Okay. So I think we answered the question from Laura. What if you don't have any knowledge in tech, but have it in statistics? And we answered that question. Can you please talk a bit more about the co-op options for students? Okay, so Katie. Okay, so the co-op options, what we do is one of the things, what we're doing at the end of there's two parts. There's the first 4 months of the class, and then it's going to be focusing on Power BI, Microsoft Power BI certification and passing that test, doing that. And the second part, we're going to be working on capstone projects. Those capstone projects will be presented to different companies here in Toronto. Like Questrade, for instance, and ThinkOn. They'll be at the capstones, and then they'll be taking a look at the talent and then following up with talent afterwards. So it isn't necessarily it isn't a co-op. We have run co-ops in the past, but it's more like an opportunity to show your work to them and to get a job opportunity. It's like an interview. Is your capstone project is your interview, and we'll do follow-up after that, because both companies are interested in people who are doing data analytics and data visualization, data science right now. So that's what we do there. That's to answer that question. So this isn't necessarily a co-op, but it's an opportunity for internship job and internship opportunity with those companies. For those who know data science, how would you recommend fitting into the American market? That's a good question. Jonathan, do you have an answer for that one?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Look at this one. For those who know about data science, how would you recommend fitting into the American market?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the American market. I'm sorry.
So I just my 2 cents. The beauty with this industry, it's a universally accepted skill. So whether you learn the skills in Israel or in Canada, I myself, I live in Canada. I do a lot of work in the UK or in the US, and we have many Americans who work in Canada and vice versa. So the nature of the skill, the nature of the industry, and the appetite out there for these skills are completely borderless, right? There's no I'll give you an example. If you're an accountant, it's very country specific or very province specific, because the rules of accounting are different in Ontario or Quebec or New York or California, right? If you're a doctor, I mean, it's the same human body, but different licenses depending on where you live. Data science, on the other hand, is a universally accepted skill. So whether you live in Canada, in the United States, or Israel, it's a universally accepted.
Good answer.
Really, the job requirements are more the ability to deliver and the knowledge. That's really what it boils down to. So if you have obviously immigration status and you can work in other countries, you could live in Canada and essentially work elsewhere.
Yeah, you could even apply. You could apply for positions in the United States, and even work remotely. Look at like Yonatan's working remotely in Israel while being here as well. And I would also, yeah, it's interesting. Like right now, we're running a data visualization program in New York City, in Brooklyn right now, and we have the Met Council with the Met Council in New York City, and they're bringing a bunch of companies to see that. So we also have that American experience, that American extension. So let me see. How would you handle sensitive data? Question to Yonatan.
Yeah, I answer
I
him.
think yeah.
Oh, I missed a question. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Are classes available
Yeah.
for high school students as well? Yes. It's interesting. We run classes in high schools actually. So and in kids schools as well. So there are classes that are available for high school students as well. This program, I mean, I don't know what age your child is. I have no idea, or children, but we would take it's a mature program, but at least I'd say 18 years old, and above. But we do have classes available for high school students. We also do one-on-ones for students as well. We also have that capacity.
We'll keep the answer more generic, but we have about 10 schools in Canada and the US that we offer Python programming classes for elementary school and high school students. So just as a by the way, and on our roadmap, we're looking also to create a new course, cybersecurity course for kids. Again, different chapter in the book, but we do put a lot of emphasis on educating the youth as well.
Okay, and I see that we've answered most of the questions. I see
Sorry,
the last
one important question
Sure.
that came to me in private was any support in job hunting, job searching. So that's also part of our collaboration with the Magal. But if you can speak to what you have in house, and then maybe I can say a few words about the employment portal on a Magal.
Sure. As I pointed out earlier, like I have a special relationship with companies like CompuGen, Questrade, and ThinkOn, and so for that reason, there are people that apply to those companies, and they put us at the top of their pile, like with University of Waterloo, University of Toronto, and other stuff like that. So that's very good. And I know the heads of the HR there and the CEOs, so we do have a connection to them in terms of job opportunities and stuff. So that's what we have there, and we do help people with work afterwards that way. And after the program, we do also help out as well in terms of work projects and other things. And there's a program that we're developing right now, Data as a Service, DaaS, which we're working on right now to get funding for, which I'm hoping, God willing, before the end of the program that we'll have running, is that basically what we want to do is work with different companies and provide our students as service providers to different companies to do their work with their data. And that would be, they'd be employed under the community tech for doing that kind of work. It's like to being a service provider, and that would help them with their resume. I'm pitching that right now to different donors. So God willing, we'll have that running before the end of the program. We have 8 months starting from November. So God willing, that's an important program. And I think that'll be a big game changer. That'll be like our own co-op built into our own program, which will help people like literally build the resume.
Yeah, that's amazing. yeah, hopefully it will come through. So that's amazing. Another thing that is available for you, of course, is the employment portal on Hamagal, where we source jobs from the Israeli and Jewish communities. We are building and have built relationships with tech leaders in the GTA community, particularly, but also in New York and across Canada. And basically, we post jobs from those companies there, and of course, you will be referred to that after the course, and that resource is always there for you, along with career coaches and people that can help you tailor the CVs. And we also have a recent collaboration with an AI tool that helps you basically match your CV to the job description in a matter of minutes and even less. That can speed up the job searching process considerably and make it much smoother, more effective, and more accurate. So definitely a host of these tools available once you graduate.
Thank you. So I see there's another question here.
Yeah.
What is the cost of the program? 2 people asked that question. So the cost for the data science program is $8,250, but with Magal, there is a 25% discount. So you could take off $2,000 off of that price there because of your membership with Magal. So which job is more popular, data analyst or data science? There are more jobs. There are jobs in data science, of course, there are lots of them, but also there's a lot more. There's a lot of data. I'm seeing a lot of data analysts and data visualization people. There's a larger need for that because it's like a smaller types of businesses. Okay. But there is a demand, obviously, for a data science. But I'd say it's a different ratio. The cool thing about our program is you go through the program and you're qualified to be a data visualization, data analysis, data analytics, and data, business information. And you're also qualified to do data science. So you have all 3 different options in applying for work. Ron, do you have anything to add, or Jonathan, or you have anything to add?
If you need to reach out to us, Hebrew, English, both are equally well. Feel free to write us a message in Hebrew, English, and we're happy to cover any other topic. Again, although we're nearing the end of the webinar, but a few individuals already emailed me privately to continue the conversation over the phone. More than happy to jump on a call at any time. So we're here to help. I believe Menachem had a slide with our email address.
Yeah.
So info@thecommunitytech.com.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. So we're happy to hear from you and getting to know all of you a little bit more and some of your needs and to help you with skills and jobs. That's really our ultimate mandate.
Yeah, we're here to help. We want to help people out. We've been doing this for years, and now we brought this from a private company capacity to a charity capacity over the last year, and it's been very good. And there's a lot of people in the community that support it. Our classes are subsidized. If you look at the actual price for a data science boot camp, it's actually double of what we charge. And with Magal, you can even get 25% off of that. It's even less. And because we're here to help in any way we can.
Yeah. Kudos for that hard work. And it's really great to collaborate with you and amplify our power in the community. We must help each other during this time.
Yeah.
So, a couple more good questions coming in. So,
Yep. So I see. Yeah,
okay. You answered.
Program starts on November 5th. That's the date that we started, but we have people right now, and we're looking to get a few more people in. We have spots. And we're going to be, so there is some time. There's a few weeks left. The program starts November 5th. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. Can you refer us to reliable data sources regarding data analytics job market in Canada? I would go Indeedjobs.com. LinkedIn has data about jobs. Glassdoor has very good information and analytics on jobs. So there's a few places you can go. So I'd say Glassdoor, Indeed, and LinkedIn. They all have data on jobs in the market in Canada.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, great job.
Amen.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you,
Amen,
everybody.
amen.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.